Welcome to the Capitalist Stage Podcast. We're here to bring you advice and tips from seasoned pros and experts to help you improve your business. I'm Carl Barham with Transworld Business Advisors, and my co-host is Rico Figliolini with Mighty Rockets Digital Marketing and the publisher of the Petrie Corner magazine. Hey, Rico, how you doing today?
Good, Carl. It's a great day.
Oh, absolutely. Why don't you introduce our sponsors for today's episode?
Sure. Our sponsor is Hargrave Fiber. They are an internet company that provides services to small and large companies, and they're a main component in every community they go into. So we're excited to have them as our sponsor, not only for this show, but our other podcasts that we do, and also support our Petrie Corners magazine. So what I want to tell you is that they have the Hargrave Economic Stimulus Plan, their own stimulus plan. So if you qualify for it, you get 1 year free business internet and phone service. So you check them out. You go to hargrave.com/business/economic-stimulus. Great partner to have. They are not like the cable company, and they're there when you need them. So check them out. And thank you, Hargrave.
Thank you so much, Rico, for introducing our sponsor, Hargrave, today. Today's guest is Rudley and Jaden Kelly. Rudley is a real estate investor, a realtor, and an author. And today we're going to talk a little bit about how to teach your children about investing, real estate investing, other types of investments to our children. He recently just launched and published their first book. I'll kind of show it here. This is Real Estate with My Daddy. It's available on Amazon.com. A very fun book for you to go through with your children, talk about real estate. So we'll talk a little bit about this today and share some of the thoughts around that. Hey, Rudley. Hi, Jaden. How are you guys doing?
Good. Doing good. Doing great. How are you all doing?
Oh, we're blessed. Thank you so much. And thank you for taking time out of your busy schedules to be on the podcast with us today. Jaden, how was school today?
Good.
Oh, that's good. You're probably pretty used to doing your schoolwork and keeping up with stuff. How did you get time to write a book with your dad?
Because we were just home one Saturday afternoon when Mom and Callie went shopping, so we just wrote a book for fun.
Oh, that's fabulous. Rudley, why don't you tell us a little bit what sparked you for doing that, writing this book and introducing it to everyone?
Yeah, no, I first and foremost appreciate you guys inviting us on this podcast. It's a great venue here to kind of talk about business. But yeah, the whole premise behind the book was to just help share the knowledge of real estate amongst younger children, kind of similar to the opportunity I had when I was younger to learn from my older brothers and sisters and older cousins that invested in real estate. So my son, obviously he's been coming with me on looking at various properties, distressed properties or whatnot, since he's been about 2 years old, right? So we just want to kind of put it in the language of a child for them to get a high level grasp of what investing in real estate is. And, we kind of wrote it together and came up with something pretty cool.
Yeah, it's absolutely fabulous. Why don't I start by, how did you get into real estate and what made you, what's your background and what brought you to what you're doing today?
Yeah, so I started real estate. I've been heavily investing in real estate the past 6 years, but really bought my first property about 14, 15 years ago. And what kind of got me started in that is, kind of what I was mentioning a little bit prior, is that I had some good role models, my brothers, sisters, some older cousins, my parents, that all, had some type of footing within real estate. So my thing as a younger adult, I always wanted to try to figure out how do I accelerate that and how can I get to that level sooner. So it started off with me buying my first property right out of college, primarily because I didn't want to move back home with my parents at that time. So that was my motivation at the time, but kind of snowballed from there. Got my real estate license and, invested in quite a bit of education on the flipping side of the business, and just kind of took it from there.
Oh, that's fabulous. I wonder, Jaden, what's your favorite part of working with your dad when he's looking at properties?
I get to help him build things.
Ah, What's your favorite? Is there a particular room that you work on a lot? Kitchen, bath, living room?
I usually work downstairs.
Oh, that's fabulous. So, as you started getting started in this, what are some of the things you found that when trying to help educate your children about investing, you found were some of the things, the challenges in doing that?
Um, I guess some of the challenges is maybe some of the language and the dynamics of what real estate is. So, I think for me, what helped educate Jaden on it and the rest of my children as well is just, putting it in as most layman terms as possible, and trying to equate it to maybe toys or things that they play with, and understanding buying something versus investing and saving and those type of things. But I think the biggest challenge is just putting it in a language that resonates with them best. So it was fun for us to write this book together so he can kind of help me along as I'm writing it to say, does that make sense? Checking in with him and, getting a good understanding that, this is something that a 7-year-old can understand.
Absolutely. Jaden, what do your friends think about you helping your dad out?
They haven't all checked the book out yet.
They haven't checked it out. Well, we may have to do something to help get them the book a little quicker, get them into schools and everything else. One of the things that's always fascinating, there's an aspect of this that goes around wealth building and creating a legacy and generational wealth that there's been a lot of discussion around that. What place or what do you recommend for parents to start, instigating that curiosity in their children? What are some of the things you've been doing, and what would you recommend to other parents? They want to get their kids interested earlier into business and or investing.
Yeah, I mean, I think some of the biggest thing is truly just exposing him to it first, right? I think exposure is the key. I know growing up, as looking at my parents older, typically as parents, you're like, this is grown folks' business, or this is for adults. But I tend to not do that typically. I want to bring them into the fold. I want to show them like, all right, this is what this costs. How do you think we should go about paying for this? If you're having discussions over bills or things like that, once they get a little bit older, maybe not Jaden's age, but, teenagers or a little bit older, like sit down at the table with them and go over the bills and show them where the account is coming from or where the funds are coming from and how to save and do those type of things. So I think number one is exposure. Don't shy away from having those conversations, even though they may not necessarily be 100% ready for it yet. And then number two is just continue it. Get them excited, find a piece of wherever in that education that you provided them, find what motivates them or find something that they're interested in and push them towards that direction to learn a little bit more. So even if it's about stocks or anything like that, stuff that they buy all the time, if it's Nikes or they love Disney movies, pull up the Disney stock, take them through that, let them learn a little about those things. So find something that they resonate with and have that conversation about the investment part of it.
So I'm going to ask a question about maybe a recent project that you guys worked on together. How did you find a property, a particular example of property? What are some of the ways you search for them? And is there an interesting one that you found in an interesting way, maybe with Jaden involved or others?
Yeah, so as you mentioned, I'm a realtor and investor. So from a realtor perspective, I'm able to find properties on what's considered the MLS on market type of properties. But from an investor perspective, and kind of what we touch a little bit on the book, I'm typically finding off market properties or distressed properties. So some of the ways that I've learned to go about finding those properties are certain lists that you'll purchase, such as people that are in distressed situations, foreclosures, maybe probate, someone that's inherited a property that lives out of state and they don't want anything to do with the property. Eviction list, tired landlords, all different types of lists that you can use. I have a team of folks that make those calls and follow up and take action on those. And that's pretty much how I go about finding the properties. But everything really falls into the follow-up and making sure you're getting direct to the sellers, and just establishing your credibility and relationship with those sellers.
So once you find a property, what happens next? If you identify a property and an owner of the property, what do you typically do next?
Yeah, so if I have the address and have the information, I first do some kind of desktop analysis, look at the area, look at the comps. If there's pictures, I try to look at the condition of the property and run some preliminary numbers on where it makes sense for me to purchase this property. But once I get to that point, I'll have a conversation with the seller and just get an understanding of what is their true motivation. What are they looking to gain out of selling this property? Because at the end of the day, you don't want to walk away with someone feeling as if they were taken advantage of or didn't understand the process or anything like that. For me, I like to sleep well at night, and I want to make sure whoever I'm dealing with sleeps well at night as well. So I really try to get a good sense as to what is their goals. If it's a probate situation, perhaps, they have other siblings in the family and maybe they need as much money as they possibly can to split amongst those siblings, right? So I want to try to give them the best possible offer I can. Or it could be someone in a situation that's like, I really don't care about the price. I just need to get this out of my name as soon as possible. So that's another motivation or a motivating factor that I can help them, like, okay, I can close within a week if you need me to, and get this burden off of you. You got bills piling up, all those type of things. So it really depends on the customer or seller first, and start from there and work my way backwards to seeing where we can, where it makes sense for both parties.
I'm curious, as once you acquire the property, there's a lot of people doing flipping now, especially in Georgia, in different cities around, different states around the country. What are some of the things you've learned about doing it profitably when it comes to once you've acquired the property?
Yeah, I mean, I think once you acquire well, I guess it's taking a step back even before acquiring the property is really just knowing your numbers. That would be the advice I would give to any newbie investor out there or someone that's looking to flip homes, is that try to take the emotional attachment out of it of just wanting to do a deal, because that can certainly hurt you in many different ways, and just be cautious as to what you're going into, because there's a lot of shows, there's HCTV, it's a lot of things out there that make it look very glamorous, which, it certainly can be at times, but know your numbers, and understand what you're getting into. And then once you actually do acquire the property, continue to do your due diligence, continue to do your inspections, work with your contractors, and always leave yourself, even whatever budget you come up with, have a contingency, because as much as you evaluate that property beforehand and do your desktop analysis, once you open up the walls, you never know what you're going to run into. So have a contingency. I like to have 5-10% contingency overage in my budget for things that may pop up.
Got it. Are there things that you get to do and Jaden gets to help you with that you do yourselves versus pushing out to contractors, subs?
I mean, pretty much we sub everything out to contractors or, general contractors that'll oversee the entire project. There are a few little things here and there that I may do, just in the essence of time, but really want to focus my time on finding the next deal, finding the next opportunity, or working with my buyer or seller clients on the realtor side as well. So once I get a property, I've gotten to the point where I've been able to systemize it, where I don't necessarily have to be there all the time, although I'm still have a pulse on it. So the whole idea of getting into this business was to build a system where I can spend more time with family and do stuff like this, write a book with the kids and do things like that.
Can I explore a little bit into that? Oh, go ahead, Rico.
Yeah. No, I just wanted to be able to ask about, because someone trying to get into this that has no experience, right? I mean, you have a few years experience doing this stuff, right? So
yeah,
someone's going to come in, they're going to hire a subcontractor that may be overpriced, may take advantage of them. They're putting down flooring, but maybe the subfloor is supposed to be a certain level of subflooring. They might do something else.
right.
How do you keep track of these things, especially if it's out of state, like you're licensed in Ohio? If you did that in Ohio, how would that work?
Yeah, great question. So, I mean, it's really about vetting out your contractors. That's probably the hardest part of this business is just getting trustworthy, reliable contractors that are insured, know what they're doing, and have some integrity to them. There's plenty of them out there, but you have to find the right one. So the way that I vet them, I have a very thorough process of certain questions that I ask. I want to make sure that they're insured, that they truly are licensed. I can go on a specific website to see if they are truly licensed as they're saying. And then probably the best part of it, or the most important part, is getting recommendations from others or hearing from their actual work of people who have actually worked with them, but not only just calling, potential clients that they worked with before in the past. If you're local, go to the site, go to their job sites. If they don't have any current projects that they're working on, that's probably not a good sign. Right. So,
Yes, sure.
yeah, so I'll go on site and look at what they're doing at someone else's flip or property, or even just a residential renovation.
And I imagine as you do this, you probably accumulate a stable of contractors that you could go back to.
Yeah, I've got a pretty good list of contractors that I use pretty consistently.
Cool.
So I'm also curious about the exit of these properties. What are the different options? I know one of them most obviously is you could sell it to someone for their home. What are some of the other options you've explored, and some of the pros and cons of those?
Yeah, so one of the reasons why I got my real estate license was that I wanted to just add another tool to my tool belt. I started off as an investor first and then got my real estate license. But I look at every opportunity as there's several different ways to monetize that. So an exit strategy, number one, obviously could be doing a flip or selling it, but it could also be doing it as a rental property, or holding it as a rental property, or it could be doing Airbnb. Or it could be BRRRR strategy, which I'm not sure your listeners may be all familiar with that, but BRRRR strategy is basically buying the property, renovating it, renting it out, and then refinancing it to get your cash back out that you initially put into the property. Because once you renovate the property, you now raise the values of the property, and you can refinance and recycle that same cash. So there's many different exit strategies. I can do all of those strategies. But yeah, it really depends on them. Going back again to the numbers. What do the numbers tell you to do with this property, and then start from there.
What's the pro? I've heard people talk about Airbnb. Pros and cons of doing that versus just a regular rental.
Yeah, so for Airbnb, they typically say you can receive anywhere from 2 to 3 times the typical rent that you would get in a traditional rental market. So I've been doing that, and it's pretty accurate. There is additional cost of doing that because you have to purchase furniture. In most cases, you're going to continue paying the utilities and things like that. But it does give you a little bit more velocity in terms of cash flow, as well as the ability to check on the property a lot more than you would a tenant that you may have in there for a year and you can't get in there for an entire year, barring any type of extenuating circumstances. But with Airbnb, it's constantly getting cleaned after every guest. You can check in on it, see if there's any repairs or maintenance that needs to be done. So I love Airbnb. It's been a great model for us that we're continuing to scale.
I'm curious on this past year with the pandemic, how has it impacted your business? Flipping, rentals, Airbnb, has this helped or hurt, or how did you navigate through that over the past year?
Yeah, I mean, different parts of the business definitely had different impacts. So from a rental perspective, COVID definitely had an impact just based off the moratorium, in terms of not being able to evict, or having a pause on that. So that definitely had an impact. But I think what allowed me to not really be impacted as much is because of scale. I have several properties. So when you have that economies of scale, it's not as much of an impact as someone that may just have one property and that tenant is out, which leaves you with 100%, vacancy. So that's helped me from that perspective. Airbnb, last year, I guess right around this time, Airbnb pretty much put a pause or a halt, at least in the city of Atlanta, for a period of time. So quite a few people, I'm sure, kind of felt that a little bit during that time, but right after that period, we actually kind of saw a significant increase compared to last year's numbers. Just being that people, they're just so, kind of bundled up in house for so long that they were just ready to just do anything and just get out. And what we found is that people aren't necessarily traveling, miles and miles away. They're literally booking Airbnbs down the street in their same neighborhood just to get out the house and do something a little bit different. So the numbers of Airbnbs and, outside the perimeter and the suburbs have actually, increased quite a bit.
Wow. I know it's especially, the going to hotels, hotels have been hit hard. People have flipped over to Airbnbs in there.
Yeah.
There was a section in the book that I saw where you kind of were going through some of the numbers with Jaden. So Jaden, I'm curious. I've got a question for you. How comfortable are you in math and the numbers so far? Do you like doing math and the numbers?
Mm-hmm.
So can you help your dad with figuring out which are good investments and not? Do you like doing that part with the numbers? So I'm curious. What do you have any ideas what you want to do? Do you want to do this type of stuff when you get older, or do you have some other aspirations?
I want to do what Dad did.
Yeah. Why?
I don't know.
Well, most people do what their dad and mom does, and so I think Rudley, you've been doing a great job of setting example for not just Jaden but the rest of the family and even in the community, seeing how well people can do in shifting. I've got another question around what do you see in the next 5-6 years? How does this play out over time, both for you and even as Jaden gets older? What are some of your thoughts and wishes for him as you continue this journey?
Yeah, I mean, I think over the next 5-6 years, Jaden will obviously, I'll continue to bring him along on the projects that I'm doing. And, I think obviously the information will start to be retained even a lot more so over time and introduce him to even books, on a higher level for him to start reading himself. But yeah, the next 5 to 6 years, want to continue this trajectory. I want to continue to scale the Airbnb side of the business, rental properties, continue to do flips to a certain extent. No one really, for the most part, I can't speak for everyone, but I don't think people want to do flips for the rest of their life because that's more of active income, right? They definitely have to be there and hands-on. But the idea is to take that active income and put it into passive income like rental properties and Airbnb properties. So that's what we're focused on over the next 5 to 6 years, continue to just work towards that financial freedom and more of that passive income so we can spend more time with family.
Yeah. I speak to a lot of people who are trying to get out of, being employed by someone else and becoming their own boss. Because we use the term often, BYOB, be your own boss. And part of that is creating, first is taking the leap and starting investing and starting a business and starting those. But at some point over the evolution, I've noticed some business owners creating a system around what they're doing. And it's always interesting to watch, folks that are spending a lot of time in church activities and charities, sometimes playing golf in the community. You wonder how can they run a complex business and yet have time to do that. And I think some of it is they figure out that way to, one, generate passive income as one strategy is to be able to do that. But two is building a system to be able to let go of some of the day-to-day stuff. And they build the team and the systems around to be able to do that. How far do you think you are in that journey, and how much further do you got to go?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm getting close to that point where it's pretty systemized, but be transparent, right? It's still a lot of hours, still a lot of time to put into that, but that is the goal to get it 100% systemized, where you can basically fire yourself, right? You want to fire yourself from your business at some point. So yeah, no one I've recently, left my corporate job and moved into doing this full time. So, no one wants to go from a job to another job, right? And that's essentially what you're doing. You're more of the technician if you're hands on and doing all of the work still at that point. So for a period of time, you have to do that to build up the business and get things going the way you like it and build those systems. But at some point, you have to, you'll get burnt out if you don't fire yourself. So the goal is to fire myself at some point.
Sounds good. And Jaden might be ready to take over the mantle on some of that stuff, and you could delegate to him.
Yep, exactly. He'll be the systems manager.
Oh, that's fabulous. Well, I want to thank you and Jaden for coming in and talking a little bit. Again, I want to reintroduce, it's Rudley and Jaden Kelly, Real Estate with My Daddy. It's available on Amazon. I think there's a website that should be up soon as well. But if you want a nice, fun book that just start introducing real estate and investing and numbers to have a nice book to read to your child at night. It's a great read, and really, I'm glad that you got a chance to do this with Jaden, and you're building a legacy for your family that allows you to do more stuff like this. So that's really, really good. So tell me about any projects you got working on, or are there any new things you're working on currently?
Yeah, we're still acquiring properties every day, seeking out new opportunities. Our Airbnb is going pretty well, so that's going to continue to be our focus. This book, we've got a great reception from it, so we're going to make this into a series and start introducing some other aspects of real estate that younger children or even adults may not be familiar with. So many different avenues of real estate to participate in. So we're in the process of doing that as well, but. Other than that, of building the business, as I mentioned, I'm a realtor as well. So working with plenty of clients. So gives me the opportunity to kind of share my investor knowledge, as well as from a realtor perspective, and work with these clients that are looking for investment properties or just residential. So I can offer both avenues. So the focus is realtor side, investing, and writing more of these books.
Oh, that's fabulous. Well, we've known you and Chenda and Jaden and the rest of the kids for quite a while, and enjoyed being part of your journey through this. So we're always excited to see when you post another project completed through social media and others. How can people reach out and contact you if they wanted to learn more?
Yeah, they can find me on Facebook under K1 Home Solutions, or directly under Rudley Kelly. Same thing on Instagram under Rudley Kelly. Phone number, business line 404-877-8088. And also our website, k1homesolutions.com.
Awesome. Excellent. Well, thank you again very much, Jaden. Appreciate you coming on the podcast today, and look forward to seeing you again soon. All right.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'd like to thank Rudley and Jaden for joining us. Rudley is a real estate investor, a realtor, as well as an author of Real Estate with My Daddy, available on Amazon. And just want to thank him for sharing some of his insights into his journey into real estate investing. As we talk about on the Capitalist Stage very often, there's a lot of different paths to becoming your own boss. And whether it's acquiring a business, whether it's real estate investing, we like to bring different perspective of people in our community that are doing these things. So as you can see, not only has Rudley made the leap into doing this full time from his corporate job, he's bringing his son along and his children along to learn about real estate investing. And that's something we can all learn from and start to do whenever possible. Rico, you've got some experience with that. I think some of your children have followed along in your pursuit as well. So.
A little bit.
So that's something that runs in the family. But what do you have coming up, Rico?
Well, we just put out the latest issue of Peachtree Corners magazine. It should be hitting the mailboxes right about now. So that's
Faith in Sports. That's a great.
Cool.
That's a great subject. Really good job again, Rico.
Yeah, thank you. Been getting good reactions. It's online. It's on digital also right now. but 19,800 homes are getting the magazine this week in the mail. So between these faith in sports and roller hockey and Girl Scouts, and there's a whole bunch of other stories about artists, local artists, and stuff like that. So it's a full issue of content that I think people will be interested in. They'll find something in there that will interest them. So we have that. And then we're also planning some more podcasts. So in the future, there's going to be one on Wesleyan Artist Market and the business of running a virtual art festival, right?
Yep.
And we're also doing another one on Atlanta Jewish Film Festival, which is the business of running a film festival virtually, right? So it's kind of neat. Well, those things will be coming up. So I'm excited.
Oh, fabulous, fabulous. Well, I'm Carl Barham with Transworld Business Advisors of Atlanta Peachtree. Our business advisors are available to consult with business owners, whether you're looking to improve your business, the value of your business, you're ready to take a vacation or retire, and you're looking to sell your business, or you're looking to acquire. It's a great time right now to acquire a business. The SBA, as part of the CARE Act, are allowing some unprecedented support for the economy to assist with small business. If you want to learn more about that, please feel free to reach out to me, kbarm@tworld.com, or you can go on our website, www.tworld.com/Atlanta Peachtree. We got information around different lending options that the SBA is doing, including they're paying 6 months of a new SBA loan signed before September for anybody that closes on business acquisition using the 7A program. That's just one of the many ways the SBA is helping support small business and keeping people employed as we navigate through the pandemic response. So we'll be doing some more webinars on those. We're out in the community, we're talking to folks, and we're just trying to help people navigate through this and find a successful exit when they're ready, or grow through acquisition. Rico, what about anything going on the digital marketing side?
Sure. Well, Mighty Rockets, my company, is still doing a lot of consulting, creative services, graphic design work. We just picked up another client that's actually a publication. They put out 2 publications a month here in the metro area. So we're handling all the creative work. So, anytime someone's looking for product videos, content work, social media, or graphic design creative services, we're there. So feel free to go visit mightyrockets.com. Or find me, Rico Figliolini, on LinkedIn. Connect with me, send me a message. Be more than happy to talk to you. Yeah, so it's been a busy year and 2021 so far. So as bad as things may be out there, it's not been a bad economy for us.
Yeah, with change, there's a lot of change happening. So when things change, people gotta communicate and get out there to the community. So grateful for all that you do to help support that here locally in the community and beyond.
You too. I'm grateful for all the things I learned, not only from you, because I've learned a lot from you, and I know how to exit, I think, my business at some point. But listening to people like Rudley and his son and other people, I mean, these are great shows. I'm hoping people get a lot of good, actionable things out of these episodes, and it's just a good thing. And I look forward to every episode now.
Absolutely. Well, we got more to come in the new year, so stay tuned, everyone. Thank you for